Do not look away. You witness a queen's revival and the birth of her new world. Anyway, thank you for clicking my video to hear my ideas about the much expected The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. First things first, there are 0 leaks here. I haven't watched, seen or heard about any leaks and I don't want to know about them. So with that out of the way, let's begin. Clicking on this video most likely means you saw like 1,000 videos about this game already, and you're just in search for that next fix for your addiction. So I'll rush a little bit here in the beginning. My last and only video about Zelda was recorded 10 months ago, and as you can see I was still calling it Breath of the Wild 2. On this video, I made some predictions about what kind of changes and new ideas we could expect on the sequel. I was very fortunate because not only I got some things right already, it's still possible that all my predictions may turn out to be true in the end. On that video, I mainly talked about 5 topics, those being a possible underground exploration, an underwater exploration, time travel, crafting, and maybe even the presence of a spiritual realm. My speculations about this were based on the fact that Breath of the Wild was the most successful Zelda game to date, which attracted millions of players that are now experiencing Zelda for the first time. So, it makes sense that now that I experienced the new elements of Breath of the Wild, they also been exposed to best elements of other Zelda games as well. Nintendo rarely makes Zelda direct sequels, so what I think they would aim here with this game would be this kind of ultimate Zelda. They would take the best elements of all Zelda games and combine them into one to show all the new Zelda players that have only experienced Breath of the Wild just how deep Zelda can actually be. So, crafting and underground exploration are both already 100% confirmed at this point. This is pretty much just doubling down on the open world and world interaction formula of the last game. I still think that underwater exploration will also be present, as well as some kind of parallel spiritual realm, but I think I'll talk about that in a later video. What is very interesting is that my main prediction is starting to look extremely likely, if not confirmed already in some level, that being time travel. Definitely looks like Zelda is on a past time in the scene, since the same structure can be seen when Link is diving down from the skies in the beginning of the game. Also, because we've seen Zelda interacting with this character, that looks to be the same one from these carvings, which are obviously representation of past events. The real mystery here is, why is Zelda holding the Master Sword? Who the hell is this dude? Is he from the mysterious Zonai tribe? Why does this lady look so much like Zelda? What about this scene? What does that mean? The main theory here is that Link is probably sending the Master Sword back in time to Zelda. And I agree with this theory because this place definitely looks like a place where Link would place or transfer the Master Sword, since the Korok forest seems to have disappeared. It even vaguely resembles the altar on the Temple of Time where Link plays the Song of Time to get the Master Sword in Ocarina of Time. I'm not sure if this goat/dragon man is really part of the Zonai tribe, but it sure makes sense based on the clothes he's wearing. They resemble a lot of the Zonai sense of style. Whoever he is, this dude is important. He definitely knows stuff. And that's the reason why I think that this lady is not just a distant relative, but Zelda herself. Let me explain. So, imagine that you are this dude, who lives thousands of years in the past. Suddenly, this chick appears out of nowhere, saying stuff about the mummy Ganon breaking the seal that probably you placed on him. you probably would be listening to try to figure out what the hell went wrong and how to fix it. It seems like the exact opposite is happening here. This dude knows what is actually going on, and he's the one explaining to Zelda how stuff is about to go down. Since Zelda herself seems to have just figured that out after she went to the past and talked to this dude. So, how come some dude from the past knows more about what is going on than some that just came from the future? Either this dude has like the gift of prophecy or something and can see into the future, or he has access to some sort of time travel. And that makes a lot of sense actually, since it seems Zelda has traveled to the past for some reason, is not only carrying the recall tear, but also the Master Sword. And this is where things start to get really complex. You see, the moment that a civilization or individual holds the technology / power of time travel, nothing is ever gonna be the same again. Basically means that this civilization or being doesn't belong to any timeline anymore, since it can freely jump from one time to another. And since this dude knows so much about what it needs to happen next, it is totally possible, not to say very likely, that he's been in the future already. So here's my theory. This dude is a zonai, but the zonai are actually from the future, not from the past. But now I'd say, how is that possible if we see the zonai ruins that have aged for thousands of years, these carved images, and all the zonai tech that suddenly appear with the Sky Islands? Well, like I said, if you're a time traveler, you actually don't belong to any given time. Since you can jump back and forth in time, no one will ever see you or know from which time you were actually from. Just the material things you built or left behind. This would explain why the whole Zonai civilization mysteriously vanished, and no one seems to know what happened to them. Nobody even seems to know who the Zonai actually were, cause being time travelers, the Zonai would be beings from the future that have, for some reason, traveled to the past. The material things we can see from them could be just the things they built or left behind. Crazy, I know, but still, it makes sense. Someone that has mastered the technology of time travel most likely wouldn't be extinct by some natural disaster, or even be wiped out by Ganon himself. Yeah, they could have fought each other to extinction on a civil war, but even then, probably at least one of them would have survived and be able to restart somewhere or some point in time again. This is what I think that may be happening here. The Zonai could have been battling Ganon for a very long time on different time periods. Maybe Ganondorf himself has or had access to time jump at some point. I think it's very possible that this battle with Ganon is a battle through time, since we've seen these kind of things on past games already. And now there is the question, who is this girl? Most people I saw talking about this think that she may be Hylia, or most likely a distant relative of Zelda, or even an earlier reincarnation of her. But personally, I don't think that's the case. In a historical context, that would make a lot of sense, but in the context of a game, I don't think that's the best idea. I mean, you would need to have two Zeldas or two Zelda-like main characters in the same story, which don't seem to make a lot of sense. Why not just create a new character altogether? Also, if the developers took that route, it would be a huge lost opportunity, in my opinion. On the first game, Zelda suffered because she felt useless throughout the whole story. It's only in the final battle that she's able to do something really relevant, that is on the scale of her bloodline's power. Creating another Zelda would totally take her place in the spotlight in her development as a character. I mean, this woman looks badass, and when we compare her to Zelda, she would look pretty much useless all over again. That's why I think that she is actually Zelda. Only that she's actually a future Zelda, after she had completely mastered her powers. That's why she confidently said
here?
Because she's destined to become a badass at some point in the story. And if she's the only one that could do this task, why do we need this one for? I mean, she does have access to time travel now. Who knows how many time jumps and for how long this future Zelda has been fighting Ganon? Maybe a whole lifetime. And not only I think we'll see this time travel theme on the story, but actually in the gameplay as well. There are two things that could happen here. One, we travel to another time, like the past, where things are a little different. This would make a lot of sense because, like I said in my previous video, the whole world, all the assets, and most of the physics were already there. The developers had plenty of time to change the world in much more significant ways than just adding caves and some floating islands. And number two, which I think it's even more interesting, things that are being done in the past by Zelda will actually change the future, meaning our present, when Link actually is. It may be what's happening here with this temple rising from the sands. Maybe some kind of past event will build this temple, or maybe it never gets destroyed or buried in the sands. Could also be the case of what's happening here. We've seen many things like this in Skyward Sword, for example. Maybe it's even the way how Link gets the Master Sword fully repaired again. And that would tie really well with my ideas about the zonai being a time-traveling civilization living in the past, but the material things they make are seen on the present. Like there were things that happened a long time ago, but are actually happening at the same time. The end of the game could even happen in the distant past and be tied with the present in the beginning of the game, creating this circle of time, like we see in the logo. Crazy stuff, I know. But I mean, that's why the title of the video is called Time Travel Paradox, after all. But what do you think? Do you agree with me on any of these ideas? Did you spot some inconsistency on them that debunks it? Did my video give you new ideas about what may be going on? Leave your comments down below and make sure you follow and activate the bell. It's actually useful to activate the bell on my channel because I rarely post any content and I won't flood you with notifications. Thank you very much if you watched everything until the very end. And remember, beauty lies on the eye of just beholder. Bye guys.